and your debit card, credit cards can be a real trap, and get a lot of people, especially right out of high school, get to college, that scenario where you don't make enough money to pay all your bills. So Jim's gonna just talk to us a little bit for now, the rest of the class, a little bit about that stuff. But thanks for your cooperation, your patience with me getting logged in. I hope this game gets a little easier as we go. So Jim, thanks for coming.
Thanks, Bill. My name's Jim, as he told you. My claim to fame is I was the middle linebacker on the state runner-up 1981 high school football. Woohoo! So I was here. No, really, my claim to fame is I've done around 20,000 tax returns in the last 30 years. So I've seen a lot of stuff, and I've seen a lot of disasters, and I've seen a lot of successes. But I want to talk to you for a minute about credit scores. Credit scores, I mean, are really not all that hard. They're a function of how you use credit since you started spending money, and they basically go off a couple things. One is your income, and one is your payment history. So if you have a car loan and you pay late, your credit score goes down. Or if you have a credit card and you pay late, your credit score goes down. Or when our son graduated from high school, we got him a Discover card, and we made sure it got paid off every month, and that his use of credit made his credit score go up. So the first thing I would encourage you all to do is go get a Discover card. Now, credit's kind of a two-edged sword. If you don't have enough money to get by and you're using your credit card to get by, well, how are you going to pay it the next month when the bill is due? And a lot of people get in that trap, and I've seen a lot of people have $20,000, $30,000 unpaid credit card balances, and it is a terrible thing. You want to protect your credit with a vengeance, because your credit score is a factor in the price of your car insurance. It's a factor in the interest rate you get when you buy a car. It's a factor in whether you can buy a house or not. I mean, credit is indispensable in this society, and it's a lot harder to fix than it is to screw up. And I don't know that I grew up thinking, oh, I don't want a credit card because I don't want to worry about getting behind. But the reality is that your credit score goes up the more you use credit. I've had several clients over the years that had a pretty good net worth but didn't have any credit, and it's because they didn't use credit. They had paid for everything cash. So it's credit cards are useful, and Donna and I we use ours a lot, but we try to pay it off every month. But there's several kinds of credit cards out there. Some of them, like the Discover card, pay you cash back, or the one we've got now, I think, isn't it a Chase card? And it builds up frequent flyer miles. So I haven't paid for a plane ticket years and years. And but the key with credit cards is don't get behind, because they charge you about 1.5 points of interest a month. Well, that doesn't sound like much, except when you annualize it, it's 18%. So that's almost a fifth of whatever you spent in interest a month, and people get in the cycle of making the minimum payment, which is barely covered in their interest. So your credit can get out of hand, and it's a necessary tool. Credit is indispensable unless you just want to be a renter your whole life. And I would encourage you to plan on owning a home, and it's building up some equity in that home. You might as well be building up some equity in your name as opposed to somebody else's name. So anyway, that's Jim's 2 cents on credit. Does anybody have any questions on credit or credit cards? Yes, sir.
What's a good credit score? How does it?
Well, 600 is kind of an average credit score, and I think in 850 about as high as you can go, somewhere in that neighborhood. And the banks will love to talk to you if you're somewhere in that range. If you got a 400 or 500 credit score, you probably can't get they don't want you they don't want to loan you money, and landlords look at higher credit score, given two different applicants, so, credit is terribly important. Did I see another hand over here? Yes, sir.
Yeah, just, would you agree with the statement saying that it's good to pay off your credit card every month in full, but there's also a credit score building advantage in carrying a small percentage month over month?
I
So-
don't really know how that works. I know when you pay it off, your score goes up and you don't have a snowball rolling out in
Right.
front of you. But, as far as leaving a balance, anything you leave in a balance, you get hit with that 1.5% of interest, so.
But if you got a 0% card, which usually they discover, or
But
most credit cards.
usually, a lot of times, those 0% cards are just a come on to get you to sign up. They don't,
Sure.
you have 0% for 6 months or 3 months or however long their deal is. And I've seen people that got in credit card trouble over the years. They would, move their debt from one credit card to the next credit card to try to play the game where they keep the 0% interest. But I don't think that's probably builds their credit score. But that said, if you get a credit card, you don't wanna, you say you got to start out with a Discover card and then get a Chase card. If you shut down the Discover card account, it will hurt your credit score because it reduces the amount of credit you have available. So, it's one of those games, and you don't just know these things by osmosis. Most of us learn them the hard way, but, I do think everybody in this room should have a credit card. Yes, Mr. Green.
Don't you think that, hardest lesson learned as a young person is needs versus wants?
Say that again.
Needs versus wants. When you're younger and when you've got a credit card, you say, oh, this is only $500, but, especially if your parents are picking up the bill payment, don't do it. But like needs versus wants, because if you can't pay for it, you're gonna spend 20 years paying for something you thought you needed or wanted that really you didn't, and you might even have sold it off or it's died or dead, and you're still paying for it. So
Right.
that's that credit trap he's talking about, needs versus wants with the credit card.
Yeah, and the car dealers are really good at playing the game where, you owe money on this old car that's 3 or 4 or 5 years old, and, they can get you in a new car, but they roll all that debt into the new car, so you may actually owe more on the new car than it's worth. And I've seen situations with my clients where, they would have 2 car payments, but they would actually owe more money on their cars than they could liquidate them for. And they do 72-month notes on cars now, which makes your payment manageable, but you better plan on keeping that car for 72 months and paying that car payment every month for 72 months. I look at cars a little differently than most of the world. I look at how much it's costing me to own it a month, and so I drive a bunch of old cars. Not to say that I don't have a couple decent cars, but most of my cars over the years have been well-used and paid-for cars, and the trade-off there is you have some repairs now and then, and it's not as shiny as your buddies down the road who just pulled it off the lot, but you're also not paying $600 a month to own it, and you can go through a lot of money in car payments real easily. New cars have gotten crazy, and just because you have good credit doesn't mean you should borrow money. And that's the way you kind of keep good credit, by managing your credit, and which leads me to another point. There's Mr. Trim was making the point. There's consumables and there's assets, and consumables are things like cars and date night and coffees and things that you want rather than things you have to have. I mean, housing is pretty much a necessity. Now, where that becomes a needs and wants thing is if you're living in a house that the rent's $1,500 a month opposed to a house that the rent's $600 a month. I mean, there's that difference there is the consumable piece of it, and that's one of the reasons I think you should all plan on buying a house, because that part of that payment each month is reducing the principal, plus the house is appreciating. So, instead of being a renter for 20 years and paying rent for 20 years, at the end of 20 years, if you're an owner, because it allows you to have a house, or as opposed to paying rent indefinitely, and I'm a big fan of renters, I like renters,
Cause you own a lot of houses.
I have some houses. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you might as well be paying for a house for yourself. And the same way with cars, I mean, if you just keep rolling that debt into another car, you don't have any years of having to pay for a car that you can take that $500 or $600 a month and save, and, you know, effectively, you're probably paying 20-25% more for that car than if you had paid cash for it, so, yes, ma'am.
I have a quick question. So in the game, these girls noticed that once they hit a certain balance on their credit card, that it the credit card, it hit like a little alert symbol. And so I was telling them a lot of credit cards, it's not healthy to max them out. So what would you tell students is like a healthy percentage that they should spend before they start paying things off?
Well, the way I look at it is I've always tried to retire my credit card debt every month. Because if I can't pay my bills in that month, then I'm spending too much money. So if you're gonna have the months where you have to buy a tire, or, something goes wrong, you may need to use that credit, but I'm a big believer in keeping the credit card balances at a minimum in case I do, it's almost like the opposite of the emergency reserve. It's an emergency reserve, but it's credit instead of so, I mean, that's the trap, and the credit card companies are really good at giving you more and more credit, so you can keep making a minimum payment, which is, once again, terrible interest, but,
Can you talk more about that minimum payment? We just kind of skipped over that really quick, and I was mentioning as you started to talk about that making that minimum payment really isn't getting you very far, it's really not gonna help that much. Can you verbalize it better than what I just did? I mean,
Probably not.
Is it?
But the minimum payment, I think, is more or less designed to pay the interest. They're okay with you running a balance, cause they're getting paid interest on that balance, and I mean, that's how they make money, and they, that big interest they make offsets all the people that default on their credit cards, but the minimum payment, and I've seen situations where the minimum payment wasn't even covering the interest. The minimum payment is the minimum payment that it takes to not get a late fee, basically, is what that amounts to. Now, that doesn't mean you're retiring any of the principal piece of it, but, credit cards, I mean, they need to be taken very seriously, because it is real easy, and I've been there, to charge up $1,000 of whatever, and then the next month, I mean, you're still short that $1,000, but you don't have another $1,000 to pay off the $1,000 you charged the previous month, so I think it's a sign of a problem if you're not getting that credit card paid off each month. Yes, sir.
We had a counselor one time tell us, said, everything you say yes to, you're adding stress to your life. Everything you say yes to, financially, physically, agreements to, schedule thing, you're adding stress to your life. So just remember that if you use it, then that stress is in the back of your brain, because we were just looking, it's like how fast things pop up. This gotta be paid, this gotta be paid, this gotta be paid. Either you are doing that all the time, or your spouse is doing it, your partner, whatever. Somebody's worrying about that date that's coming up all the time, and it's living in the front of their brain. So that stress, guys, that's what I've learned the most, is the stress that if you say yes to it, it's a stress you're gonna carry until you're done with it and you walk away from it and say no. So that's the financial piece right there, is you gotta learn when to say no, and that's the hardest part. So it all equals stress, guys.
Anybody else have any questions?
Who's winning?
Are we only supposed to finish the first month, or are we supposed to go on to the next one?
I've got the game set up to work 12 months at a time. I mean, we have 12 months to work on during the course between now and April meeting. So right now, let's just do the first month today. I'm not gonna give you any homework. I don't want you to do anything outside of this meeting. We'll do the second month next time we meet. And then maybe we start doing one in between or something so we can get through. If we only end up getting through 8 months of the year, so what? We'll just kind of take it as it comes. So we'll just do it 1 month at a time. Somebody's competitive? Is that what I'm hearing? You overall, I want to know what's going on over there. I want to know what you guys are doing. Caleb Bailey, look what you do. You're going up to number 3. Caleb Bailey's so far through the trial run got a score of 5105. Caleb's net worth is 1636 and credit score is 490. Pushed his credit score. Look at there. Jordan Bellamy's credit score is 525.
I'll be honest, my eyesight's kind of bad, so I'm not.
Somebody who's got Jordan Bellamy. Look at that. Jordan Bellamy's credit score is 525, and she's got a quality of life score of 793. She's using credit well, huh? Look at that. So you can see over on the side. I'm sorry you can't see it over there. Sorry, you got this figured out, I guess. Wow. So Caleb must have money in his savings account. He's got 2,600 bonus points. Holden did the same thing. That's how you got to the top. You got some money in savings, didn't you? So you got bonus points for putting money in savings. Regan's number 4. Regan. Sorry, I knew it was wrong. When it came out of my mouth. So, guys, this is just for fun. I hope we learn a lot as we go through this process. You'll get better and better the more months that we end up doing. Remember that you can always go back on the left-hand margin and change some of your expenses. You can lower your rent, but do beware if you decide that if you break a lease, there's a payment, there's a cost associated with breaking a lease. If you try to get out and change your cell phone plan, there's a cost associated. So you can make some changes. You can lower your monthly expenses, but some of those come with a cost. So just make sure you recognize that there's going to be a cost to doing some of those things. So. Any questions? Any questions? Hey, anybody not get on Slack? Is everybody on Slack? Did you get on Slack? I did email for those of you who have good emails I emailed out the link to invite to join our Slack channel. So that invite should be in your email. Anybody else not get on Slack? Good? Okay, I'll throw it out there. I don't know if you want to do it or if you don't want to do it. Just 1 second. I don't know if you want to do it or if you don't want to do it. I had a friend of mine that runs Kansas Rocks Off-Road Recreational Park up north of town say that if we wanted to put a little group together and coordinate a schedule, he'd bring some Jeeps out, get some friends out to come take us off-roading, do a little Jeeping. I don't know if is that a proper verb, Jeeping? Yeah? Huh? 4-wheel, there you go, doing some off-roading. So if that's something you want, totally optional, if it's something you guys want to do for your one-on-one, your in-between get-together, put it out there on Slack, send me an email, send me a text message, whatever. We'll get together, we'll figure out a date that'll work for everybody. Anything else, Lewis? Jim, thank you very much. Hey. It ties right in there with using your credit card in the game, right? So good questions, guys. Next meet, we're second Wednesday, right? Every month we're second Wednesday at 11. So on Slack, turn on your notifications. We'll be putting stuff out there kind of as we have stuff pop up. And everybody go see the play. Go see the play. Jennifer and I went last night. It was a great play. They did a great job. Absolutely. Alyssa was there. Yes.
This is good. This is so good.
Yes.
Yeah,